What is up, guys? It is Joseph Watson here at the Current of Currencies podcast. We are mixing it up today. We are going to go full geopolitical with a side of crypto, and in a few different continents. We're going to look at Canada, we're going to look at Russia and China, and we are also going to look at let's look at South America too, because there's definitely some stuff that we can note down there as well. So let's get to it. I'd also like to remind everyone that I am not a financial advisor, nor is anybody who works for me on my platform. We are only giving out paper trading advice, which is hypothetical situations of us buying and selling stocks, equities, and cryptocurrencies. Thank you. Monetary policy is a very complicated subject that has so many ins and outs and secret doors that it's hard for anybody to really understand how money works. But it is up to you to figure out as much as you possibly can so that you understand the system of which you live by, because it is one of the most important systems that figures out how we get along and interact with the rest of the world. I say this because in the new time coming of cryptocurrency, there are many different things happening around the world that have truly shown that the evolution of monetary policy is in a new phase. And we're going to talk a little bit about how Russia has now accepted cryptocurrencies in their all as a $3 trillion asset class. And we are going to basically talk about what that means, what regulation would look like in that sense. How is that going to affect a country like us who has not gotten to a point where we've even acknowledged that crypto is a good thing? And it's not that Russia believes that cryptocurrency is a good thing, but I will tell you some caveats on why I think that they are going about this right now in the times that we're living through. With the Ukraine situation going on, this is a very calculated move that they could be taking, and I'll tell you why. They have been threatening economic sanctions on a lot of the people that said that they are going to step in and help Ukraine if they were to make a move. Now, of course, this would send shockwaves through the supply chain and also fluctuate the market in mass scale. I was reading an article today by someone like CNBC where they said oil could go up to 120. And like I track oil every day, we are about $30 under that. So if these things happen, and that's speculation, by the way, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but let's say there is a controversy and we do get those economic sanctions put in place. How would you deal with that? Enter stage left Bitcoin, the decentralized currency that is unobstructable in transactions and completely isolated from any federal regulation system. Now, call me a conspiracy theorist, but here's the facts: it is a decentralized monetary network that you can transfer funds on. And a very heartwarming story, and why I believe in cryptocurrency and don't see this as a bad thing, is this allows people to build actual capital infrastructure on what they're doing around in their lives. A great example of this is what's happening in El Salvador. They implemented and made Bitcoin a legal tender in which they can pay their bills and taxes with, and they have now reshifted many of the larger and smaller scale businesses into a monetary system that is more practical, ethical, and logical to use than a failed monetary soft currency system. Now, another beautiful story that I could talk about right now is what's happening in Canada with the truckers. There have been tons of donations on the truckers' behalf so that they can continue their protest and also get the supplies they need to stay up there. But what ended up happening was the banks ended up confiscating a lot of the money that was transferred to them through funding sites and everything. I think it was something like $70 million that was confiscated in total. And what they started doing was accepting cryptocurrency payments. And that's something that is decentralized from the central banking system. So these people could get their goods. They could get the supplies they need. They could stay fed. There's so many good things that you can use cryptocurrencies for. But one thing I should point out is you should never attribute a cryptocurrency to a place, person, or thing, because just because one person uses a cryptocurrency the wrong way doesn't make it a negative item in the system that we currently live in. And that's another reason of why I like decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. I just like the idea that there can be systems applied outside of the normal measure that are safe havens and basically fail safes for when other systems break. That's just good strategy. That's what hedging a portfolio is. That's exactly what hedge funds do. So think about it in that sense. Again, you may think that Russia finding a monetary system that they can basically get around sanctions with is bad, and Russia is putting a bad name to cryptocurrency, but it's how the entity uses the technology. It's not the technology being bad. And it's funny because still, knowing as much as I do in the sense of financial literacy and what good currencies are, when I talk to people, they are just completely shocked sometimes of how much I am involved in cryptocurrency, because they think it's a scam, or they think it's just something that's a trend. And I really can't disagree with them enough, but it just hasn't become mainstream yet. And here's a perfect segue for another story I was going to talk about. Now, you can't make this kind of stupid up. All right. Now, I'm not a hacker. I do know a couple programming languages, but I'm no great developer of technology or anything like that. But man, did you hear what happened with these Bitfinex hackers that got caught? Oh my God. The other night, and if you have been watching the past episodes, the first couple, I was tracking whale wallets. And I didn't get it on video, but a couple days ago, probably about 4 or 5 days ago, maybe a week ago, I got a notification basically telling me that the Bitfinex hack money was being moved from Bitfinex to an unknown wallet. Now, that blew my mind because back then, this was about $17 million worth of crypto assets that was taken from Bitfinex. And I say that because you have to think about it. This was the 2017 hack, if I'm not mistaken. So 2017, think about what Ethereum and Bitcoin was in price. So I'm watching this happen, and there was 4 or 5 transfers, and I'm just like, wow, this is huge. Like, someone's actually moving this, and they're going to try to liquidate it now. Well, lo and behold, these idiots ended up getting caught in New York, and they had the keys on them. They had all of the private keys to the fund. I just got to make a segue. How stupid do you have to be to have that in your Apple cloud? Like, oh my God. How are you going to make one of the greatest heists in history and then seek refuge in New York when you have the world federal agencies on your tail, and then try to liquidate it when the keys are in your Apple cloud? That, like, wow. But But now there is a huge problem because that money now, that 17 million back in 2017, is worth about 70 billion in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, I'll let you take a second to let that sink in about what that means. Basically, that means that the U.S. Federal Reserve now on its balance sheet has about 70 billion in crypto assets in its possession. Now, this comes at a time where maybe 2 weeks ago, we had Biden come out declaring that Bitcoin needed to be regulated and other cryptocurrencies because it was a matter of national security. Now, I find this a little ironic because now they have it on their balance sheet, even though it was through seizure, don't get me wrong, but just what a twist of fate. So the real question is what does America do now? Because we have countries like El Salvador that have taken it on as a legal tender. We have many other countries that are in the steps of trying to do the same process for their country. We have Russia, now a major power and I believe the 11th strongest economy in the world, accepting and trying to start the process to regulate cryptocurrencies. There are a lot of serious technological advances that need to happen in the monetary space through a digital currency, whether it be a CBDC or central bank digital currency, a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It doesn't matter, but it's very obvious that we are moving into a system where that is what is optimal for the space. Now, my concern is I live in the United States, and how does the U.S. answer to this? Because if we continue to lack in our moving forward of trying to rather conquer the technology in our own format, then you're just disadvantaging everyone because we aren't going to be able to have that technological advantage against the people that we have to compete with. And I don't mean that in a aggressive sense. I mean that in a market sense. So where do we go from here? What is the U.S. response to this? That is what I'm waiting for. The reality of the situation is if more people understood the technology, if more people were taught at a younger age what good money and bad money is, if more people understood what markets did and how to use them more properly, I feel that if the time allocation, education allocation, and capital allocation is taught in the community, it becomes a better community. And the same goes for implementing better monetary structures. I believe that cryptocurrencies, especially ones like Bitcoin that have analogous control and aren't regulated by something like a central bank that can change the whole structure like what's happened in the past for civilizations over time. We need to evolve into a better system. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin will be the answer, but right now it is a harder, stronger currency than what we have for a lot of different reasons. And this will come in decades. I don't mean this right now, but this will come with time. It is still, I always tell people, it's like when the first people with gold went to their local market and said, we have this and want to trade it for the goods and services of your people. And that's where we're at the beginning of Bitcoin right now. It is technical digital gold. So we will see how this story plays on. But with all that being said, I'm hoping that gave you a little kickstart to the brain of how cryptocurrencies actually do change the world. But yeah, let's get to the charts. So, starting with the fear and greed index, we have now gone a little bit back towards neutral and have seen a 40 as we've continued to see assets in the traditional market rally. The S&P after hours hopped up above that major box of support that I was telling you about and has now flipped to support. We are now looking to retest the $4,600 area, and let's look at just a couple more indicators. I still would be waiting for a small pullback to, again, maybe find support in this range so that we can continue to move back up. It is midweek, and we still have a lot of time to go. So we will watch the S&P. The Dow Jones did something in a very similar fashion. Opened after hours, much above, clearing its one of its micro resistance levels, and is currently sitting at about 35,750. The dollar is really just consolidating, and oops, sorry guys. Give me 1 second. I totally swiped the wrong way. The dollar is consolidating in this light area down here, and I have to wonder if it is because it is planning to shoot back up, or if we are going to play out something like a bear flag where we move down and then we consolidate and then we make another move down. Just turn on another indicator for that. I guess I can't. All right, well, yes, because, and I have to attribute at least a portion of it to the Federal Reserve saying that they are going to start selling off their balance sheet and have multiple interest rate hikes. This has probably done a lot of this downtrend right here and this consolidation. With U.S. oil, and again, this is the one to watch. We are very, very overvalued here. What goes up must come down. All of our indicators are basically just saying this is extremely overvalued. So I would say expect a pullback, but long term, this is one to definitely watch after we find the next floor because of what is going on in the world, like I was explaining tonight. Gold is another one. This is the 1 day. Here's the 4 hour, but just very overvalued right now. Our floor was back here, and I don't know. I would have taken profits in a couple different areas, specifically around these lines. But very, very, like I said, guys, what goes up must come down. Take profits when you can, especially on huge moves like this. This is about 3%. So enjoy while you can. In the crypto space, fear and greed are at a standstill because, again, it is very, very interesting what's happening. We saw this massive bullish scope come out of nowhere, really, and retest the $2 trillion mark for the total market cap. And right now we are battling, and we have double topped on that line. And are we going to see a move like a bearish M where we come back down? Are we going to consolidate in this range and retest for all-time highs? Same thing with altcoins. Very, very bullish, and a lot of altcoins performing really well this week. I've been sniping some really good trades this week. But Bitcoin, basically this is the resistance level that we need to break out of. The 4,300, 700 to 4,500, 900 level. If we can clear this, then we have a nice jump from about 46,000 to 50,000 that typically we just kind of smash and move right through very conveniently, as you can see in past occurrences. But I will say that past results do not basically intend future successes. So you have to take that into consideration. Where do we move from here? Are we going to find support at the bottom of this box? So that's usually what I do in that sense. Are we going to consolidate here and move upwards? That's what I'm tracking right now. And I have been in a few long and short positions in a couple altcoins that are definitely on the more volatile side. But interesting things happening, like there was an indication of a floor on a 1 hour chart for about, it was 22, like 4 hours ago. So are we finding major support in this box? Maybe we are. Are we going to retest in the upcoming days? It's not looking extremely bearish right now, I will say that. Let me throw on a couple more indicators just to check. Yeah, we're pretty much at an even standstill and definitely have room to move up. Like I said, folks, crypto is what to watch right now, and especially in the time that we're going through. Ethereum is also at a very interesting pattern. It almost looks like a head and shoulders is starting to form right here, so I'm going to be watching that heavily on the hour chart. We have cleared another box of resistance, and it has now cleared to support. And again, you can kind of see that we are springing upwards off of this level at this time. And other indicators are also, sorry, this is what I usually have on: moving average, convergence, divergence, relative strength index, CM Williams, VIX fix, and where's my true strength indicator? But again, very mid-level range for all of these things. And we're just going to watch for a retest now on all fronts. Take, short or long positions depending on how the trends go. And again, that's why I trade and I don't invest, because I feel the money comes faster when you're watching the charts. This has been the Current of Currencies podcast. My name is Joseph Watson. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter at ShedCoins. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Please, if you like our content, tick the little bell, subscribe, get all the notifications immediately upon us releasing our videos, and make good decisions. Let's definitely just keep growing our portfolios 2022. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I'm about to catch a wave out. Peace.